Hi, welcome to week 4. Just find my slide. Sorry, my dog again. Every time I talk, he wags his tail and wants to be pet. And then I pet him. So I just reinforced that. Hold on, I gotta find where I am. Okay, so I am actually on spring break right now and I'm going to be going away. But I thought if anyone wants to get ahead, I would post week 4 ahead of time. So if you want to get ahead on the assignments while you're off for spring break, you can. So we're going to talk about this week student directions, types of responses, scaffolding, and differentiation. So student directions could be like a one-page thing. It could be as little as, if you see that ABC Match It on the side, like little directions on the side for the parents or the teacher or the students to read. And then if you look all the way on the left, I have my letter writing unit, which is more teacher direction, where it's a script for what the teacher is going to say to the students and the directions she's going to give the students. So when you're making your resources, just keep that in mind. Most of my students are in first grade, so most of the directions I read aloud to them. But I do usually have them on the page as just a reminder in case a parent wants to see what they did or a sub is in the room. Okay. There are different types of responses for activities that you can do. So we know there's multiple choice, true, false, matching, multiple select, choose more than one that is correct. My students always have a hard time with that one. Sorting, yes or no, fill in the blank. This is, all the basics. We know this. Written responses. I like to do these for when I do guided reading, which is small group reading instruction. I like to have them write a response. And again, my lines are primary because my students are in first grade. If you have maybe a second, third grade up, you can do single lined. Really just know your audience. So, and of course, the older they get, the more complex the writing can be. As you can see, mine is pretty simple. It's bulleted points for look back in the book. What are 3 kinds of boats? Boats can be, and it was like circular, flat, long, very simple. But if you're, the upper grades, you can definitely have them do more of an essay or paragraph response. So visual responses, I like to do these a lot. Draw a picture, label a diagram. You can have students create a graphic organizer, make a chart or table, illustrate a concept, sequence pictures. Visual responses are really good for your ELL learners. Just because it's visual. Visual is so much easier for everyone. You can also do physical hands-on responses. So I do a lot of hands-on phonics centers. They're based on my curriculum. I have foundations. So each week I have I have phonics centers that focus on the same phonic element for the week. So see this word sort right there? I have that for am and an, which is one week, and then another week I'll have it for glued sounds like ing, ang, ong. So it's the same sort of activity, so students know how to do the activity, but the phonics skill changes, and they're sorting word cards onto a mat to see where they go. And I also add in a recording sheet because I want them held accountable for it. But sorting cards are just a great thing to do. Anything where they can physically move stuff around. So for my phonics centers, I always make sure there's some sort of laminated thing. They're either building a word, they're using a magnifying glass to find tiny words on a laminated sheet, they're sorting, they can play memory with the words, just different things to make it more exciting. And then year after year, I save these laminated pieces and I put them in like a baggie in a bin. If anyone wants more information on that, on my blog, I have like a whole post on phonics and how I set it up. And then I have it every year. I just really have to duplicate the recording sheet. So they can also act it out, use counters and cubes. I know in kindergarten, when I was doing Envisions math, not Envisions, sorry, Eureka math, we had for kindergarten, they didn't have real tests. They had to physically like count out cubes, and that was their test. And the teacher had a clipboard and she would assess that way. And they always love this one, move to the correct answer corners of the room, 4 corners, things like that. So they can also do turn and talk. I make these little partner cards for them, and I have them for like every theme, and they're super simple to make. You just have to get partner template. I think I linked them in my Canva course that was like listed in here, with a handout that you can go make your own And if not, let me know and I will send you the link for the partner card templates. And then you just put 2 pictures on it or 1 picture and you split it in half and they find the other half and they turn and talk or partner share, think, pair, share, all those different things. But I like to have little cards. It just makes it a little more exciting for them to go with the theme. So technology-based responses, drag and drop, but this is if you're doing Seesaw or Google Slides, type of response, recording an audio, which they can do in Canva, recording a video, they can also do in Canva, interactive polls and quizzes, Kahoots, you know. So then we're going to talk about scaffolding. So I do a ton of scaffolding in my classroom. I'm primary and I'm E&L. So it makes my life easier to just set everything up with a lot of visuals beforehand. So I don't have all these little kids poking me and asking me what they need to do. And I was also SciUp trained and they're very big on the visuals and the scaffolds. So you can model, think aloud, show students exactly how to solve a problem while verbalizing your thinking. I do, we do, you do, gradual release of responsibility. We do this a lot during math lessons, chunking information, breaking lessons into smaller, manageable parts, pre-teaching vocabulary, introduce keywords before the lesson. So I do this with guided reading, boat round. You see on the side those cards there. I pre-teach, we'll do a little board work to try to sound them out first, and then I'll put the vocabulary card down so they can see a visual of what a boat is or round is if they don't know already and little. I'm using anchor charts, which you can see above. I have the parts of the friendly letter that they can look at. Oh, I need a date for my letter. I need a greeting. I need a closing. I need a signature, and they can refer back to it. Anchor charts can be written on chart paper. It can be made on the smartboard, anywhere you want. Language and communication scaffolds, sentence stems. I noticed I solved it by, I've used these before for like observations. I'll like type something up and laminate it and give it to the students and I'll point, I noticed or I solved it by. Word banks, I do a lot of word walls, as you know, provide vocabulary the students can pull from, and then they're not asking how to spell something. They feel a little more independent. So there's my letter writing anchor chart and word wall all combined in one. And then each student in my class has that in their writing workshop folder. They can just refer to it and it makes it easy. And I collect it at the end of the unit. So I use it every year. I just laminate and number it so I know whose it is. And my students will have a number, 1 through 18. I have 18 kids. So if I find number 18 on the floor, I know it's Sophia's because she's number 18. Turn and talk, practice ideas with a partner before sharing. So I like to, if I'm getting observed or, if they really aren't sure how to turn and talk about something, to model it. So I'll either model with a student or for my ELL push-in period, I'll model with the ELL teacher. So we're really co-teaching there. So, think about, like I have on that slide there, think about which illustration from your All About book you would like to label. Find your pencil and paper partner. I have the partners listed up there. Pencil partners will share first. I am writing about blank. I will label blank. Paper partners will say, I think that is a good idea, or maybe you should also label this. Then paper partners will share, I am writing about blank. I will label this. So it's like a little script for them, but I model it with the co-teacher so that the kids know what to do. And then we walk around and we listen to their turn and talks or their think, pair, shares, same sort of idea. And visual supports, pictures, diagrams, gestures, really anything. I like to put it on the smartboard or the clear touch so that they can see it while they're writing and have physical scaffolds for them, physical word walls for them to use. So task and activity scaffolds, graphic organizers, we all know about Venn diagrams, story maps, make it a lot easier for students to organize their information. Checklists, I love checklists, step-by-step directions for completing tasks. I have checklists for like unpacking, packing up, and I'll laminate it and a kid will keep it in their folder and use it every day until they figure out how to unpack and pack up the right way. I have a lot of editing checklists. Like you can see if there's a letter writing checklist, which little for editing their letter, making sure they have the parts of the letter. Partially completed examples, students can finish the rest. Choice boards, a lot of people do that for center activities, or I know our principal used to do it for trimester, like instead of handing in a plan book, we got a choice board of things we could do. Guided practice, teacher supported work before dependence. So that's a good example for that would be math, when you're guiding them through the lesson and then you're gradually releasing them. So differentiation scaffolds, tiered assignments, same skill, different levels of complexity. I have a very simple scaffold right here. The pen pal letter on the top has the word dear written in like a traceable font and your friend in a traceable font. So that way those kids that forget where to start, or sometimes, I mean, they will hold the paper upside down and do it. They won't, because those are there and it says pen pal letter on the top, whereas the bottom one is just a blank one that they can go with. Flexible grouping, small groups based on skill or need. A good example of this would be guided reading for the lower grades, where we group them based on their reading level. Reduce workload without lowering rigor. So certain students, you can say, do every other problem, do it, just to reduce their workload. You can use Post-its to cover problems, different things like that. Extended test time we know about. Alternative response formats, draw, speak, write, type. I know I've had resource room teachers tell me for phonics, have them use the tiles to spell the words instead of writing it and then write it. So that's just an alternative response format, that they're physically moving tiles over to spell the words, and then they're using that to write to scaffold. On ongoing support scaffolds, frequent check-ins, show me where you are, frequent loops, immediate specific feedback, prompting and questioning, guide thinking without giving answers. So let's say I'm reading a word with a student and they can't read it. I'm like, okay, but I notice it starts with the letter B. Let's try that. And I see a vowel team. Do you know what that vowel team says? Before me just going, the word is boat. I'm trying to guide them through it, make them think a bit. Error analysis, learn from mistakes together. I like to put up mistakes and we like to edit them together for phonics or writing. Reteaching in small groups. I don't know about you, but I am always pulling a small group for math. It's always the same couple kids. They just need me one-on-one while the rest of the kids work independently. So scaffolding, independence, building scaffolds, goal setting, students track their own progress, self-assessment rubrics. And if you're getting observed, they love to see self-assessment. I have a little self-assessment reading evaluation there. It's in your the Google Drive for us too, where they just point how they think they did. I also do JoJo's. So when they finish like centers or activity, I say, well, how do you think you did? And there's an option to earn a 2 point or 1 point or no points. So they tell me how they think they did, and that's what JoJo they pick. Peer teacher and peer tutoring, reflection activities, what helped you today, and teacher tips, scaffolding is temporary support. Remove it as students gain confidence and build skills. And I am guilty of not removing a lot of the scaffolds because it's just easier to keep the word walls in place throughout the whole year. But as the year progresses, I hand out scaffolds to certain kids and the other ones are working on their own. So I tried to differentiate a bit that way. So there is a girl sharing her writing and she's teaching about like what, I think she's summarizing a book there and teaching the other kids about the book that she read. So now we're going to jump right into our assignment. Now remember, if you're struggling to create the resources, make sure you've watched the Canva tutorial, the Google Slides tutorial. And again, I suggest Canva for making the resources because you can really search and edit what they already have. So whatever you're making, but let's go to our assignment. So what you're going to do, you're going to expand upon your week 2 and 3 assignment. Sorry, there's 2 T's there. I'll delete that later. By differentiating or adding scaffolds. Please explain the type of differentiation or scaffold you pick and why. So add your PDF to our Google Share folder. I linked it there. Format it with your name in the title, grade. For example, mine would be Erica, Blasi, grade 1, letter writing unit. Participants will provide positive feedbacks and suggestions in the Google Classroom about each other's resources in the comment section. So I have this linked for you, my whole unit that I'm working on very slowly, the letter writing unit, which is huge, with scaffolds in there and student responses. And then I also put like a really quick guided reading lesson that I got observed in. So I have the teacher directions there, I have the student response, I have the scaffolds, and I have the self-evaluation. So you can look at that for a sample. So I hope this helps and I hope you enjoy your vacation.